Hey, what's up, Math Niners? Mr. Tronis here. We're going to do our final lesson. There is nothing new in this lesson. It's just using order of operations while dealing with rational numbers, aka fractions and decimals. And we got a couple easy shortcuts here in these first two examples, but just to remember, here is your order of operations, BEDMAS. So we do our brackets first, completing them innermost first, using our order of operations, then exponents if we have any. We learned that from last unit. And then we do division, multiplication, left to right, and addition, subtraction, left to right. Okay, so let's tackle these. And soon as you see decimals in this event, we are going to use calculators. So decimals means calculators. But you need to know how to use your calculator properly. So we have to look at this in order of operations. If you just type this in left to right in your calculator, it would spit 100% the wrong answer. So we need to work left to right here. So just being careful what we do first. So if we see I have addition here, division, and then multiplication. So I don't have any exponents. I don't have any brackets with operations. That's just holding the negative there. So we just have to use our order of operations, and says we got to go left to right with division and multiplication. So I'm just going to do this division first. So what do I end up with? Well, just copy what we have so far, negative 0.8. 1.2 divided by negative 0.3 is negative 4. So copy the addition and your result of each operation, place it in brackets just to be safe with negatives. Okay. And now I can see, all right, my next step is my multiplication with the negative 4, still having the addition out here. So I still have negative 0.8 plus whatever I'm going to get here. When I multiply that, I will get negative 6 in my calculator if needed, or in your head. And finally, we can actually finish this off. I should put my equal sign here. And we are going to take negative 0.8, add it to negative 6. We're getting more negative here. You don't need your calculator here, but if so, no problem. It is negative 6.8, and we're done. Okay, so, and I'll draw my last set of arrows because it was our last operation here. Okay, let's check this out. We do have an exponent. We do have brackets here, so I like to make these brackets a little bit bigger to emphasize brackets in brackets. So I need to hone my focus in here. Well, subtracting a negative, we know that's the same as addition. You could type it in your calculator as subtracting a negative. It'll do the same thing, but I think it's worth just entering this much easier as addition. So we're just going to add these two first. 0.7 plus 1.2 is going to give us 1.9, and that's being squared. So let's just copy the rest over to the left here. I have negative 3.2 minus 0.9, and then I'm dividing that result. Next, I have to do the exponent. So again, I'm going to copy negative 3.2 minus 0.9, divide what is 1.9 squared. You're going to get a result of 3.61. So remember, this is 1.9 times 1.9. Now I have to do the division. So I'm going to do my division step here. Again, copy what I don't touch, 3.2, subtract, and what do I get? I'm going to place it in brackets to be careful. This is 0.9 divided by 3.62, which is going to give me, that is approximately, this is a bit of a, let me rewrite this because that's going to give us a longer number. So I'm just going to keep several more digits. I'm going to keep it as 0.249249,307, and it goes on and on and on with more digits. Okay. And now finally, we can do this subtraction. So when we're doing that, now I can write our final answer. I can go negative 3.2 on my calculator, subtract this decimal, and I'm going to get approximately 3.449 and so on. And it didn't tell us to round it here, but we can easily I would accept that answer, but I'll often ask you to round if needed. So we can use this, which means approximate, and rounding it to 3.4. Okay, because this 4 is less than 5, we can leave if we are rounded it to one decimal place. So this is just means approximate. Okay, another symbol that would mean the same thing looks like this. Okay, kind of a curly equal sign. Okay, let's try a word problem. Word problem here, we're converting from Fahrenheit to Celsius. Okay, it is a bit of a complicated formula. Celsius is what we use in Canada, but we often hear Fahrenheit in the US. And here's our equation. If I want to figure out what something is from Fahrenheit to Celsius, I enter in the Fahrenheit value here, I subtract 32, and then I divide by 1.8. That will change it to Celsius. So that's all we're doing here is taking our formula. Don't let the word problem throw you off. And it's telling you a Fahrenheit value of negative 128.6 Fahrenheit. So all that's saying is, what is the temperature in Celsius? So all we have to do is first copy equation or formula. Let's call it formula. Same as the question. Formula. So let's write it. Celsius is equal to the Fahrenheit amount, subtract 32, divide by 1.8. Then simply we're going to substitute the number given to us. We have two letters, a Celsius and a Fahrenheit. We're being told the Fahrenheit is negative 128.6. So we're going to substitute F to equal negative 128.6. That's all we're doing here. So let's do it. C is equal to, and when we substitute, put it always in brackets, so negative 128.6, subtract 32, divide by 1.8. Now you might say, well, Tronis, this looks like we have to divide first. There's something subtle here that many students might not always notice, but whatever is in a numerator and denominator, there are implied brackets, meaning we need to simplify our tops and bottoms, our numerators and denominators, before we actually divide. So let's do so. What are these? What's negative 128.6 minus 32? Well, we're going to get negative 160.6, and we're going to be dividing that by 1.8. Now we can do our division, which is going to give me negative 89.2, repeating in my calculator, degrees Celsius. And that's all you got to do, folks. All right. Let's look at one more very challenging question. Notice all these fractions are small. This is going to have, it's on one page, so we're going to have a pretty good chunk of work, but we're just following BEDMAS. So don't let it be overwhelming. Just deal with it with two fractions at a time. So we have to do this first because we have brackets with an operation of addition. All these other brackets are just holding the numbers. Okay, they're holding the fractions. There's no operation going on. They're just fractions. So in here, I'm going to deal with that first. Okay, so I'm going to write this out nice and long form. So I'm going to have, I'm going to do two steps at once here. Well, no, let's just do one step at a time. One step at a time, I think, is a better choice. I could multiply these right now because it's not part of what's going on over here, but I'm going to leave it because I want to keep this as simple as possible, even though it looks complicated. So I'm going to copy those first two fractions. I'm still going to be subtracting the negative 2 over 3, and then I'm dividing, but I'm going to deal with this first. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this whole thing over here to do it on the side to get a value. So I'm going to take 1 over 3. I'm going to add it to negative 1 over 4. So I first need to get common denominators. So let's do that. Lowest common denominator is 12, so I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 3, top and bottom over here by 4, and I'm going to get a brand new fraction of 4 over 12 plus negative 3 over 12. If I add that up, 4 plus negative 3 is positive 1 over 12. So now I can write my new number here is 1 over 12. Okay, I am going to do two things at once in this step though, because we have multiplication right here and I have division over here. So I am going to multiply these two fractions and I'm going to change flip these two fractions. So first I'm going to multiply over here. I'm working left to right. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1 and 2 times 2 is positive 4. Okay. And then I'm going to be subtracting. I haven't touched this. I'm going to keep the negative 2 over 3. I'm going to change to multiplication, and I'm going to flip it to 12 over 1. Okay. Now, previously, I could not cross cancel, but this time I can. 2 and 1, I can't cross cancel that, but 3 and 12 can divide by 3. So I'm going to divide by 3, divide by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And now I'm going to multiply that out. So I still have the 1 over 4 in front. I still have the subtraction, but what is my result here? I'm going to leave it in brackets because I'm being careful of my negatives. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. 1 times 1 is 1. Now I can see I have subtracting, I have 1 over 4 subtracting 8 over 1. So let's get a common denominator here. And to do that, I'm going to go times 4 times 4. So I'm going to get a brand new fraction. Let's just write it over to the right here of 1 over 4 subtract negative 32 over 4. Okay. And what do we do when we subtract a negative? I have common denominators. I now can subtract, but we know that subtracting a negative is the same as addition. So I'm going to write a giant plus sign. And now it's just 1 plus 32. That's easy. That's 33 over 4. And let's finally put that into mixed. Apologies. 4 goes into 32 8 whole times because 4 times 8 is 32. And I have 1 left over, or 1/4. There's my final answer. So a challenging question. Yes, you do have a similar one like this on your test. You do some in your practice. But if you can handle something like this with all of these fractions using adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing fractions, you can handle anything. This is as hard as I'm ever going to give you. Okay, that concludes our chapter 3. So we learned about what a rational number is, comparing decimals and fractions, converting between the two, and then we add, subtract, multiply, divided them. And of course, BEDMAS, we had questions like this one that had all the operations built into one. All right, we'll see you in class and let's finish the unit.